Welcome back to Solo Media. We're here with our series review of Marvel Zombies. This is the spinoff show of the one What If episode we got in season 1 of What If Marvel Zombies. And now we get a full series, full-on story, exploring more within the MCU of that alternate reality. We know Marvel Zombies is based off of the comic run that was, the What If story of a zombie virus affecting the entire Marvel universe. And then here, this is affecting the entirety of the MCU. And as you can tell, this show was supposed to come out a long time ago because even actors don't even realize, hey, I shot lines for this and I don't even remember what I said. Elizabeth Olsen, the Queen of the Dead. Yes. But we're gonna get into it. But first, I'll just say this: with 4 episodes here, I'll just start with my positives on this. This is what I feel Disney Plus is supposed to be in terms of having content that doesn't really has itself to attach anything. Again, it's its own self-contained story, but it's exploring stuff in the MCU of strange concepts and everything. And technically, really, what I want What If to dive into more was this type of alternate reality in the fullest extremes, and fullest capabilities. And we got a few episodes like that in What If, but with this, we get Wanda Maximoff being Queen of the Dead. We get Infinity Hulk, which I thought I would never see, and the concept that makes, which is crazy on paper looking at it. The fact that we get to see some concept of the Young Avengers, which is also one of my negatives of this. It's just like, after watching this, like, yeah, I can give, positive saying I thought this was good, in terms of the story and what they were having here. But the way to kind of end things off, it also just reminded me like one thing. One, I'm annoyed about what we didn't get and what you delayed or canceled. And 2, I don't care. There's certain things where I'm like, you know what? This is all right, interesting, but I don't care. Because you have Mahershala Ali as Blade Knight, right? Which is really one of the biggest MVPs of this show. But and among others, Ma Vellani, great. Love to see her more. Yeah, I thought Shang-Chi, God damn it. I'm just saying, there's a lot of good stuff in here, but I'm just like, man, it reminds me we don't have it. And even though we're about to get Shang-Chi and Doomsday, I'm like, it just reminded me a lot of stuff I was annoyed with the MCU. But what was your thoughts on the 4 episodes we've gotten with Marvel Zombies?
When I watched these 4 episodes, I was like, yeah, no, this is definitely one of Disney Plus's better Marvel things that they've had. And specifically this is one of the 3 good Marvel animations post Disney Plus that we've gotten. This, X-Men 97 and Friendly Neighborhood have been the best things that Disney Plus Marvel animation wise has given us, which is sad on the What If side of things. But it's like, yeah, but just talking about the show itself, it's like, it is interesting to see, because like, again, this is somewhat based off the Robert Kirkman run, but more so based off of where we left off with that What If episode of What If Zombies. And again, it is very interesting to see these this bunch of characters that you wouldn't expect to get along or to be put into this type of zombie apocalypse superhero situation. When you look at it, you're like, I can 100% see that everybody who is actually portraying their character from the MCU in this does a pretty good job. Again, Iman Vellani being the heart and soul of this series, returning as Kamala Khan. Again, it's great to see Kamala in a lot of things. Freaking Shang-Chi, Simu Liu, it's great to see him again. And again, we are about to see him next year, but since it's been a while, it's great to see him. Hell, it's even great to see Katie Awkwafina again. It's great to have Tessa Thompson back as Valkyrie. Yeah,
you had US Agent and you have Red Guardian in this.
Yeah, we have both in there, but also it's great to see Dominique Thorne and Haley Steinfeld as Riri and Kate, for as short as it was, because episode 1 said maybe it does. Again, that ending kind of puts a lot of things into question, but no, it's just the animation wise, they did not skip on the brutality, which I really liked. There was a lot of heart and soul which I really like. Blade Knight, yes, another MVP, even though it's not Mahershala Ali and it's instead being voiced by Todd Williams. Still, it is cool to finally get bladed something after so long a fucking delay. But besides that point, I had a lot of fun with this. Definitely my top 3 of MCU post Disney Plus animation wise, but at the same time I can also say that yes, this is a product of some of the things that we were going to get, or some of the things that we were going to see a lot more of back in the early days of phase 4 and phase 5, where even though some people were having their doubts, it wasn't there yet, but it's like now we're about to hit the doomsday, and even if we might get these characters more so post doomsday and Secret Wars, it kind of also feels like, yeah, a lot of these characters you care about, some you don't, and at the end of the day it's like, does it matter? I mean, you can have fun with the journey, but it's like, in terms of mattering, I guess that's a whole nother can of worms. So
yeah, like at the end it's just like, do I care? Because I thought, I was trying to see where we go with this at the end, and then it's like, it will keep watching if you want season 2 of Marvel Zombies, and we'll have Sentry, Bucky, and we'll have other characters, and I'm like, on, man. Like, start with my moments here. First off, the fact that the whole strive was to get the Nova Corps. Like, we're gonna have to get people out of space, to come help Earth. I'm like, oh, that's neat, right? Okay, all right, cool. And then it's like, oh wait, no, they already knew about this. And then the Nova Corps quarantine Earth. Like, that's like insane. Like, it quarantined Earth. Like, nope, nobody is leaving this planet. Please go back. Like,
which I get, which also is, it kind of scratches my head, because I'm like, wait a minute. Somehow Thanos, before becoming a zombie, got that stone from Xandar. In this reality, did he not decimate the Nova Corps? Because like, how do they have ships to quarantine? I mean, maybe there would be some Nova agents off world, but still, how do you have that many that you could quarantine a whole planet?
And not only that, like, you also have Icarus, which returned as an Eternal. But now I don't know if he was infected or he was just going into his celestial programming of just because
it's kind of hard to tell with that one, because it's like, I could see it being both ways, because it's like, again, the Inhumans aren't technically human, but they're kind of a hybrid of both. So I could see it being the case of like, maybe he is a zombie and is just fighting zombie Captain Marvel to the end, or maybe it is a case where he's programming is basically just try and get the Earth back to where it was, and he's not a zombie. Again, it could go either way. They never really explained it. I think when they put promotion for this, he was called Zombie Icarus, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, from the looks of it didn't seem like he was infected. He just seemed he was broken down to his like robotic, celestial, nature and everything again. And the fact that he'd been fighting Captain Marvel for 5 years straight, and just as a constant, way of her not having her to leave Earth and affect the entire universe and stuff. I thought that was interesting. But again, there's a lot of cool concepts here. We get a little bit glimpse of Young Avengers, and like, listen, at this point, I don't know when we're ever going to get it, or champions, or you want to call it. At this point, these Young Avengers not going to be young forever. And you're getting also other storylines now, because we have Ironheart season 1, and this is going to be completely different than what we see here, because of everything that happened with Mephisto with that. But again, this show was made before its time, before the show was even created. It was announced, but it wasn't created yet. It wasn't. And I think it was shooting around the same time, or a little bit right after this, because, again, going back to Elizabeth Olsen, she's like, guys, I recorded these lines years ago, and I don't.
Yeah.
That's insane.
No. Like, and for anyone who wants context, Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany were at LA Comic-Con this past weekend, which, of course, Zombies was out by that time. And she's like, wait, that's out now?
Yeah. And mind you, how many times it's been delayed, and just for 4 episodes. Why not we're making it into a movie or whatever? I don't know. But it's that again, to me, that's a negative. It's just like, it reminds me of, again, why I say I just don't care anymore of this type of extra storylines that you have, because all these characters, like, we're missing a movie here to actually put the glue of the MCU right now. So before we get into Doomsday, we're missing an Avengers movie where some of these characters would interact, but now they're interacting the first time next year in some form or fashion, right? And it's a shame, because it's just like, you know what? I really thought we missed a lot of key moments here. And going to having a last hurrah for Black Panther, which, and I don't know how you felt with this, because I felt emotional watching that scene, because, like, man, I would love to see that, live action of him just fighting Thanos like that head on, but also like that the fact that we do get to see that is also glimpse the comics of him, having the Infinity Gauntlet and everything. But it's just like that was a powerful scene. He's still fighting him with one leg, Then, but then it's like I had an issue the fact like he sacrificed himself only to have Peter Parker to even narrate his lines.
He said Wakanda forever. At least that's what I thought he said before he knew this was the end.
It's like, he had a white character. Wakanda forever. For Chadwick Boseman, who passed away 5 years ago. It's just like the audacity of that. That's my thing. That scene was great. Him sacrificing himself and putting him and Thanos into the reactor core in Wakanda, and then somehow those stones and everything became like an energy thing where Hulk now, because it is mostly gamma radiation, able to consume that, he just became an anchor for all of that, energy. But just like to have that scene, him holding his own against Thanos with all the Infinity Stones, a zombie, Thanos, only to have a white character. I don't give a damn if Spider-Man, right? Just say Wakanda forever. It's like mind you, this is not. You think you're respecting Chadwick's legacy by doing this? This actually disrespects the character of that because you're doing that. I don't know. I could be wrong. I want to know what your thoughts on this because that really bothered me.
Yes, they did say that the reason they had Peter narrating is because they couldn't ask Chadwick because like right before, but still, it's like I get it. I 100% get it because it's like that scene was still powerful. You had Black Panther. Powerful. You had Black Panther, Spider-Man, and the head of Ant-Man facing off against zombie Thanos, and Black Panther being the one to basically end, like, especially, as Peter said, it pissed T'Challa the hell off to see what he was doing to Wakanda. It made sense that he would sacrifice himself to stop Thanos, even though it would cause an Infinity Storm event. Like, no problem with that whatsoever. And I didn't even mind Peter narrating it. It's maybe just some parts where you have a sound alike. Because here's the thing, we see Thor in here, but it's not Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, you have him say like maybe 3 or 4 lines, and no one really fucking cared about it. It's like it was still Thor.
You could have fooled me. And not only that, it's not Mahershala Ali, but you have another voice actor playing a character that doesn't even, it's not in the main canon as of now. We haven't seen his fullest version, but yet we have seen an alternate version of a character. So to me, this is my thing. I still, because of this, I still believe we think that Mahershala Ali Blade is coming. There's no way. It's almost like, oh yeah, we're gonna use Edward Norton as a Hulk for a What If series or whatever, like for this episode, right? No, it's Mark Ruffalo. Even when you did the Marvel's What If episodes of how the Avengers were, rallying together, then Hank Pym basically went and killed all of them, and that was a Mark, and you recasted it in animation with Mark Ruffalo to keep continuity. So by and logic, you're keeping that Mahershala Ali Blade, even though he's playing a variant version of a character we haven't even seen yet. Like, we might have heard it, but we haven't seen him, But that's the thing, that it's like I don't know, because like I have conflicted feelings. I'm like the boulder. The boulder have conflicted feelings.
Yeah. No, but again, I think the best way they could have remedied that is that even if Peter was narrating it, you have some lines, or especially the Wakanda Forever line, just be a sound alike, and that would have been it. We wouldn't even be complaining about it as much, because like we understand it. It's like, even if you had someone just sound like it, hell, you could have gotten any of the previous Black Panther voice actors from animation to even briefly try to do a close to Chadwick voice and then move on. But no, it was just full on Peter. And look, scene was still powerful, but that was just a one little outlier. And again, as you said, we retcon Mark Ruffalo's Hulk in that What If episode. We have Blade here, even though he has not been established in the MCU yet, that you couldn't do that. And it's like, I get that maybe you're trying to save the moment for these next 2 Avengers films, but still, at this point, we kind of would just like you to, if you have to have T'Challa, like a moment like this, just do a sound alike and move on.
Yeah, and I want to talk about some of the characters in here. Like, standouts definitely being Iman Vellani, and I like that they gave her a centerpiece in this. But again, the way they ended it really kind of bothered me. Like, okay, so what she's zombified now or whatever, but her character still being lighthearted in the light of all these dark situations, again, it's just a testament to that character and who she is. Again, I'm a Miss Marvel fan all day. I'll say it, to everybody. I don't care what you say. And I did like that, she was able to meet Peter Parker. I wish they had more scenes together. And stuff. I just like that dynamic, even in comics. You know what I mean? And seeing her abilities now shift into this seems to me how she can change in another team dynamic and exploring her powers and stuff. Again, I just wish she'll be in a better movie, live action, when she returns, and able to utilize this so we can keep this character and her version specifically. Kate Bishop and Ironheart, right now I don't really, have nothing to say on that. It's just like, okay, it's there. Especially with that version of Ironheart, you're not fully developed because of your show. Like Kate Bishop is just Kate Bishop. She's Hawkeye, just whatever. We know you even got to the point of you getting Billy or or Tommy or whatever. You know what I mean? They didn't. In this case, it would never even happen. I thought it was interesting too that the twist of, okay, so Wanda is conscious, even her being infected, that she's still trying to be this Queen of the Dead thing, which is a shout out to Army of the Dead and all stuff like that, zombie movies and stuff like that. But like now, like she was able to use her ability to like cloak herself, so is she actually sentient or isn't she just consumed by this darkness? Now for me, I thought, okay, to her to accept this reality, I thought it was like, oh wait, she's actually using the Infinity Stones to snap all of this back together, to like rewrite reality. Hey, the affection never happened, right? And I was like, oh, okay, it's just the Scarlet Witch side, coming out, where it's like, even though she's still affected, but no, she is affected and she's just still a crazy bitch, and everything, and not all sane, and like the multiverse madness side of her. And also, I felt there was my issue with this. There's a lot of MacGuffins that they kept pulling out of their ass with this. With why did you need Miss Marvel? Was it her bangles? The fact that she created like this vortex, or abilities creates this type of cocoon of her hex ability. I don't know.
If anything, it probably is the bangle, because again, as we know, that bangle can rift through time. Plus, we saw it in the Marvels open dimensional portals to other universes, so we know that bangle has a lot of power, and maybe it was just the addition of that, her magic, and Infinity Hulk. So I'd probably see it as like, oh, I need Kamala because I need her bangle and all that power and everything. So I could see that. But also, I would like to say, yes, the ending, I think the ending was made like that on purpose to feel uneasy. It's like, wait, what just actually happened? Because it's sort of there's no happy endings. Plus, also even a little House of M in there too, if you think about it, and even a little WandaVision there too, and even a little WandaVision in there too, if you think about it, with the whole, I hacked the signal, Kamala, you need to get out of this sort of deal and all that.
Right.
It's kind of a nice blend. So it's like, that's why I'm not too mad at the ending, because I'm like, we're not always going to get a happy ending, especially with a zombie thing. So,
right. And I don't know how far, like, what other character, like, you do a season 2, like, how would you resolve this? Like, right. I really don't know how you would resolve it unless you rewrite reality,
or you cause an incursion to end that Earth,
something like that. Because again, to have an entire reality where it's all zombies and stuff like that's perfectly fine. It just like, I think narratively, just like to get to that point of just like, okay, make it make sense. Because like even with Shang-Chi now, like they all lost. So like, they're like, what else you have? Bucky and Sentry. What the hell are they gonna do? Like, you're not doing Fantastic Four. You can't do any of the X-Men characters. So it's like you really have nothing left to do with this in terms of this zombified world. And it said Star-Lord too, because they killed Rocket and killed Groot and everything. I'm just like, and you got any space characters out there? I don't know.
Literally the only Guardians left, if you think about it, are Star-Lord, Drax, and Mantis, and Nebula.
Yeah, I don't know. And then somehow they get them to get to the Nova Corps to, hey, let's actually help them. But yeah, other than that, I thought these episodes were decent. I just had an overwhelming feeling of I don't care, because of like some of these characters and plot lines were not even established live action. And we knew that this show was supposed to come out a few years ago. And you can, it's clearly obvious when you know this show is out of place, like, you know, watching, like, knowing that Ironheart was shot over 2.5 years ago, you know, like that, like during Wakanda Forever, like that's, you know, those things are just like in back of your head. It's just like, okay, like, hey, we already know you course corrected, so it's like some of this stuff here is already irrelevant, you know what I mean? So and it's just frustrating to see that, because it's just like there are some good characters here. There's good actors that gave good performances here. I want to see Mahershala Ali Blade. I want to see more Mavalani and more Shang-Chi and stuff like that. And I just wish we would just got more better stories as fans of those characters. And again, we're gonna see some of those characters return, you know, shortly. But it just kind of reminded me of the problems we've been having the last, like, what, 3 or 4 years since Endgame. The last, like, you know, 2.5 phases. But other than that, Wayne, you got any final words in terms of the 4 episodes of Marvel Zombies?
Again, it's like this still, regardless of that, this is still a fun watch to have, especially for going into the spooky season. This is still a really solid show, even with the small nitpicks that we had. This is still a pretty solid show with some really good voice acting by some actors that you wouldn't think would be that good at voice acting. A good continuation of that What If episode, and again, as I said, definitely one of the best Marvel animation things post Disney Plus being established. Sorry, What If, but it's this, Friendly Neighborhood, and X-Men 97. You didn't stand a chance after a while. But no, again, I would still highly recommend it, regardless of our, you know, feelings. I would still highly recommend watching all 4 episodes, because this is really something that I think a lot of people can enjoy as fans of superheroes, as fans of zombie horror. You know, they don't skip on either, and I think that's a really good thing. It's definitely one of those projects that you can look back on and be like, yeah, that was pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, and I will say this is a good, you know, piece of content going into the Halloween season, and everything. Enough content, 4 episodes that felt were enough, you know, way to just kind of get you in the spirit of Halloween, moving to this month. But aside from that, make sure you subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section down below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.